Hello and welcome back. Thanks for joining me today on my countryside adventure. I'm here at my in-laws' charming old house, a place we're lucky enough to spend around 3 months scattered throughout the year. It's a truly wonderful place that holds a very special place in my heart. What makes this place so incredible is how it magically slows down time from the moment I step out of the car, especially during the autumn season when the harvest is complete. The peace and serenity here are beyond words. Even though my daily schedule remains familiar, there's a sense of renewal and reinvigoration in the air. I wake up at 6 a.m., sip my morning coffee or tea, and proceed with my day, whether I'm working from my home office or tackling my to-do list. What's different is that I'm free from the usual city pressures and stress. Here, every task seems to energize me. Chopping wood, taking our dog out for a walk, working, cooking, tending to the garden, filming, and reading books. I just do it all without feeling drained or overwhelmed before bedtime. As I noticed this positive change in my daily life, I couldn't help but explore what was causing this transformation compared to my city life. The first thing that came to my mind was the simple act of starting my day surrounded by nature, sipping coffee in a wonderful garden. It filled me with tranquility and a deep sense of well-being. The melodic symphony of birdsongs, gardening, harvesting, and walk through the fields elevated this experience, strengthening my connection to nature. Furthermore, I've experienced the fulfillment of meaningful tasks. Even though chopping wood every morning may not sound thrilling, it's essential when you rely on a wooden stove for heating. Growing my own vegetables and fruits and maintaining this old house provide a constant sense of self-sufficiency and accomplishment. Almost every task I perform contributes to the well-being of both my family and me. Even though I was doing a lot of meaningful tasks in my city life as well, the city had become overwhelming with its relentless noise, constant busyness, and stress seeping into every aspect of my life. I unintentionally started comparing the two worlds and realized the immense value of the countryside. But as we considered the possibility of a permanent move, the realities of work and school commitments weigh too much. It simply isn't a realistic option at the moment. However, I've come to understand that I'd also been idolizing a life that is probably hard to permanently keep up. Happiness isn't a place you can just move to. It's something you must also cultivate within yourself. So I've started thinking about what makes the rural lifestyle so fulfilling and how I can bring those elements into my city life. This journey led me to examine my perspectives and reflect my values. Slowly but surely, I'm managing to merge the best of both worlds. I've learned to view this little countryside house not as an escape, but as a constant reminder of the pace and balance I want to achieve. So the purpose of this channel is to share my deep interest in everything that drives human behavior, the question, what makes us so incredibly unique in the way we perceive the world and interact with it, and what supports designing a life that each and every one of us considers meaningful and fulfilling. And I would like to do that on the one side by sharing a bit of my journey to a slower and more meaningful life, and on the other hand by sharing what I learned when taking deep dives into topics like behavioral science, neuroscience, psychology, philosophy, and everything that kind of relates to that. So I guess it is adequate to insert a little disclaimer here. I am by no means a mental health professional. I work with this topic in a corporate setting, and I consider my life to be pretty much okay by any standard. Yet I do believe, and I firmly believe, that there's always room for personal growth. And what I have seen is that a lot of those concepts on personal development, or a lot of those guidelines, start with the topic of, reevaluating your values, reconsidering what is your purpose. So that's kind of the baseline that you find out there. And that's why I wanted to start my channel off with this topic. There's a growing body of evidence out there that having clarity about your values and your purpose is not only something that is needed for really making sustainable changes in your life, but also that it can contribute for you to be actually healthier. So what I would like to do is take you on a little journey on the development of this topic through history And for that, I would like to jump off way back in time to the ancient Greek. So let's start off by looking at what Aristotle had to say about this topic. He lived from 384 to 322 BC, reaching the age of 62. And given that the average life expectancy for men at that time was 40 years, I guess it's worth looking at what he had to say about living a happy and healthy life. So for this video, I want to pick up two of Aristotle's ideas, one being that Aristotle truly believed that we as human beings could decide who we wanted to become. This in modern psychology is called agency. This is important if you want to develop because it means we're not helpless victims of fate, but can make choices and reflect on the influences that affect us. Aristotle thought that we as human beings were lucky because we had the ability to reason, and that we should use this gift to really carefully reflect and design who we actually want to be. Aristotle also firmly believed that the main goal and meaning of human life was to be happy, and to achieve happiness you had to cultivate something he called eudaimonia. Eudaimonia is different from hedonia, which you might know from the word hedonism, which is all about feeling good and feeling pressure and more this quick win happiness, which contrasts to eudaimonia, which is much more complexer. It's more about your purpose, finding yourself, and it's a much more deeper concept. He focused on 4 key parts, being authenticity. This means knowing your core values and living by them. Meaning, which is about understanding the big picture, yourself connecting with it and also contributing to it. Excellence, by striving for higher standards in your behavior and also your ethics. And personal growth, which means that you're actively seeking challenges to fulfill your potential and grow as a person. So the reason why I think that these ancient ideas are still important nowadays is because, in this fast-paced world that we're living in, it's much, much more easier to lean towards hedonism, than to have the energy or take the time to take this deep dive into your personality, which makes it kind of hard to keep the balance between the two. In the city life that I was talking about at the beginning of this video, at that time, it felt like this endless cycle of work, eat, sleep, repeat, with a dash of meaningful activities that I just borrowed from social media. So this was easy, but it lacked of a deeper sense. And every time after a short thrill, my life pretty quickly went back to being as meh as it was before. And in the end, this constant up and down was much more tiring and was what really was stressing me out. So let's fast forward to the 1900s to meet somebody called Viktor E. Frankl, an Austrian psychotherapist born in 1905 who developed logotherapy, which is an approach to therapy that helps patients understand the purpose and meaning of their lives. He also authored a book called A Man's Search for Meaning, which is one of my absolute favorites, and I highly recommend that if you're looking for an inspiring read. Being Jewish, Frankl was deported to a concentration camp in September of 1942 and endured incredible suffering there until he was freed in April of 1945. The inspiring part about Frankl is that he did not only survive this concentration camp, but he showed incredible willpower and courage every day until he was freed. He survived because he found purpose and meaning in this suffering. He went through that horror so he could teach others how to live better lives. For Frankl, discovering life's meaning is a fundamental human drive. What we can learn from Frankl is that chasing happiness is not the answer. It's nothing that we can directly control. Instead, happiness stems from our daily actions and mindset. If we can find a cause we can wholeheartedly dedicate ourselves to, happiness will naturally follow as a result of pursuing that cause. So what did I take away from all this? I think the most important learning was that my life down there in the countryside didn't seem slower or meaningfuler just because some magic spell instilled purpose on me. It's just that generally everything you do down there takes somehow more time and thought and also attention. I can't mindlessly scroll through Instagram while harvesting berries or chopping wood, but while I do this, I'm thinking about the delicious jam I'm going to make, or how cozy it's going to be when there's a fire crackling in the stove, Also, unlike in the city, you don't have the convenience of just popping into a store or order takeout. So what I have to do is I have to plan our meals ahead. I have to be very mindful about what I put on my shopping list. It gives me a better overview of what we overall eat, which also makes me think much more about if we have a balanced and healthy diet. It felt meaningfuler because I was forced to take my time and to focus and to just put more thought into the things that I was doing. Just trying to take those activities from the countryside and put them in my city life didn't work because the basis was basically too shallow. If I wanted to sustainably work on a more meaningful and slower lifestyle, it would take an effort. But in the end, I think the endeavor was really worth it because rediscovering my values and crafting a purpose was an incredibly enlightening and helpful process for me. It enabled me to really sort out my life and focus on what had real meaning for me. And it also has reduced the stress of trying to fit in too much into my life, and gave me the space and the time to do things that I really enjoy, researching and making these videos. I've already mentioned that book once, but the book that kind of guided me and is also the basis for this video is Life on Purpose by Victor Stretcher. And in this book, he describes his personal journey of self-discovery to find his life purpose. So I guess this is where we'll end the video today. I will provide links to all the books that I mentioned down below. I would really appreciate it if you would leave some feedback in the comments. I'm new on this, so I still have a lot to learn. If you have any tips that you think would help me to improve these videos, I'm very grateful for that. And if you like the content, I'd kindly ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. My plan is to put out videos every 2 weeks. At least that's what I'm aiming for and hope I'm going to be able to do. And yeah, if you want to dive deeper into this whole topic and process, then I hope to see you soon in my next video. Goodbye.